This is CNN Breaking News.
Welcome to our viewers in the United States and around the world. This is Early Start. I'm Christine Romans.
And I'm Laura Jarrett. It's Friday, May 29th. It's 5 a.m. here in New York, and we begin with the breaking news. Violence and palpable outrage spreading across the United States over the death of George Floyd at the hands of Minneapolis police. Angry crowds have gathered in several cities. They are demanding justice and accountability. In Minneapolis, protesters took to the streets for the third straight day there overnight. Some broke into the police precinct near the scene of Floyd's death and set it on fire. Over 500 National Guard troops have been called in now. Let's go straight to CNN's Omar Jimenez live for us in Minneapolis. Omar, for those who might just be waking up at this hour, walk us through what happened overnight and what is happening right now.
Anarchy.
Well, for starters, Laura, what's happening right now is this portion of Minneapolis is on fire. I mean, you look at this building. This building is less than a block away from the Minneapolis Police 3rd Precinct, the one that was broken into and set on fire yesterday by protesters. And now this one here, hours later, that fire is well extinguished, but this one is burning out of control. There's a midsection of this building that just a few moments ago collapsed down, and you can see all the spectators that are here. There was one other person that walked by saying it's unbelievable as they stand here and watch. No one seems to be demonstrating at this hour. They just seem to be standing back in awe. Now, to catch you up on what we have seen throughout the night, this is not an unfamiliar sight over the course or throughout this city, and it's something that Mayor Jacob Frey has actually pushed against, saying that he is in support of the protesting, but not in support of the damage and some of the violence that we are seeing. We know the National Guard has been called in. Up to 500 troops were called into the area here. And I was just taking a look at something here, but 500 National Guards members called into the area. We saw looting start to spread to the St. Paul side of the Twin Cities, as opposed to just here in Minneapolis as well. And again, of course, the images of the police precinct. They had put up fences to try and keep protesters out over the course of the afternoon. Well, protesters got past those fences, and the fire began shortly after. Fireworks were fired into that precinct. And there's one thing you may notice: the entire time we have been standing here with a fire of this magnitude, you don't see any firefighters, no fire trucks, no police officers, nothing. This neighborhood is completely gone to the protesters. It's nothing short of anarchy right now. It's almost like something out of a movie where everyone is in hoods and masks, standing out here watching parts of their city burn. And of course, all of this stems from the death of George Floyd now days ago at this point, but the pain is still very real for a lot of these people here who are waiting to see if charges will be filed against these officers. We have heard from the U.S. Attorney's Office, and we have heard from the County Attorney's Office, both of whom say they are making this investigation a priority, but that they need time to get all of the evidence together. Well,
what a joke.
We see how precious that time actually is, because every moment that charges aren't filed, the potential for situations like this seems to just happen every hour. And last night, I think, was probably the prime example, and given the time it is already this morning, is likely a good indicator of where we are going to head today. Laura, Christine?
Omar, I know you can only cover so much ground, but from what you've seen there, are you seeing any of the Minneapolis National Guard troops? I mean, you see all these fires just engulfing the city. Are you seeing any troops on the ground doing anything?
Not yet.
I am looking around right now, and I can tell you from this vantage point, and I can see and it just collapsed. There you go. The building just collapsed in the midsection as well. And you hear even some cheers of people, again, who are watching in awe. But as we watch that, there are no National Guards members here. There is no form of first responders here on the ground in this part of Minneapolis.
The result of fascism.
No police officers.
Here.
Fireworks right next to us. No police officers. No firefighters. No National Guardsmen. So wherever they've been called, they have not been called into this area, it appears. And when you look at this building, they have completely given up on this. This building will likely collapse. And when you take a look at, as we just pan over just a little bit, you see how much on fire that building is. You look over to the right, that's a liquor store that was completely blown out and set on fire yesterday, completely. And then you look over this way under the trees, If you're able to see, that is the police precinct completely charred and burned out. And I won't be able to take you all the way around the corner, but all those buildings are completely destroyed. On top of, you see the AutoZone, what used to be the AutoZone, burned here. By the time this week is over, this entire neighborhood of Minneapolis, near where George Floyd had some of his last moments, is going to look like an absolute war zone.
All right, Omar.